Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
Bruz, what's up?
What up, Bruz?
And welcome to another Freakier Friday. I don't know. I was trying to be cute with it, which is why I said, bruh, what's up? But it's falling.
You were trying to do opposite day without giving me a heads up. I see.
So sorry. Anyway, you guys, it is us. We are back with another BruhVision. This week we are doing Freakier Friday.
It's Freaky Friday.
I thought you had a whole other BruhVision.
When it's BruhVision, it's the vision from your bruz.
We are off to a wild start. Anyway,
It's a musical movie. I'm feeling musical. I am Tony Coitus.
As I said, you guys, this week we are doing Freakier Friday, the 2025 movie starring Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, Julia Butters, Sophia Hammonds, Mark Harmon, Annie Jacinto, and of course, Chad Michael Murray.
Well, there's so much to say. Ceej, why don't we start with you?
No. We're not doing that because I want to tell you guys, okay, for a little bit, this is a millennial show. We grew up all watching the Disney Channel. Boy Meets World is a very known Disney Channel property. Lindsay Lohan was an icon of our time. I can't really think of an equivalent of who she would have been, but Lindsay Lohan was just, in fact, a really big part of millennial culture. So the idea of doing another movie with Lindsay Lohan is kind of really important that we're doing it. It's very millennial core. And Tony, I want to know what your first reactions were for this movie because I don't know how you feel and I feel very strongly about how I feel.
Okay, guys, I really went to this movie with low expectations. I love the original Freaky Friday. I feel like there was a golden era of live action Disney movies, not Disney Channel, live action Disney movies during the 2000s. I would put Freakier Friday in the same category as Holes or Princess Diaries or the Liz McGuire movie, just like these really classic theatrically released live action Disney films that came out when we were in high school-ish. All great. Classic. Love Freaky Friday. I rewatched it prior to watching the new one. And I don't know how controversial this is to say, especially when it's sitting at a Rotten Tomatoes score of 73% currently. But not to disappoint anyone, I fucking love this movie.
Love this movie, and I love it. Like you said it earlier. This sequel has a higher rating on IMDb than the original. Do you know how rare it is for IMDb to give credit to a movie starring two women? It's just it's unheard of. And even IMDb was it's actually kind of good.
I love this movie. Initial overall impressions, I love this movie. I cried multiple times in this movie.
And it makes sense, and it's earned.
I laughed throughout the film. I think it may be funnier than the original. I think it may have, we'll kind of talk about this more deeply, but I feel like one of the pitfalls a lot of sequels run into is trying to just rehash things from the original, whereas I feel like this movie deepened some of the ideas and themes that were presented in the original, which I think led to a better overall sequel experience. 150 minutes that flies by, goes down smooth as whiskey. It's a love letter to Los Angeles in so many ways, and I think a true accomplishment for a modern family comedy in a time when the landscape is barren. I mean, I was just coming off of seeing Naked Gun the other week, which I fucking loved, by the way. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Okay,
it's hilarious. It's just like, it's been such a long time since I've seen a movie that like the whole theater was laughing. I was like, wow, this is a real like communal experience. And yeah, like watching any movie is a communal experience, but when we're all laughing together, it's like, wow, look at me relating to something so deeply from people, strangers in the dark. There's something magic. We come to this place for magic. You understand?
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, I just feel like this movie really just succeeded in everything I've wanted Disney to do with sequels, but they've never done. So though my expectations were low, I left just so blown away, honestly, truly blown away by this film and all of the performances from the cast.
100%. Like, I think there's so much to be said about this movie, but kind of what I want to start off our conversation with is I had said earlier in this discussion that Lindsay Lohan in general is millennial core. And a lot of what this movie could have been was just millennial fan service. Like, in all actuality, we could have gotten a Deadpool and Wolverine version of this, where it's like, it's pure millennial core, it's pure millennial fan service to a point where it's like, it's almost unrewatchable. But the thing that made me impressed with this movie the most is I was like, I'm getting all of my little nods and hints and little Easter eggs that are for me. Well, at the exact same time, the movie never acknowledges them.
Yeah.
The movie just kind of like winks and nods and just keeps moving on by. Why? Because it's like, we have a story that we need to tell. We don't need to take 5 minutes to recreate Mean Girls. We will give you a little hint, and that's all you need.
And I love that, you know, like one of the things I said about this movie was like, I don't need to see Marty McFly ride on a hoverboard in the same way he did the skateboard in the original, but this is like the new version of that. I don't need to see like a copy and paste rehash. I feel like this movie had so much of the spirit, and I hate to say this because this is like high praise, had so much of the spirit of like a Sister Act 2 in the sense of like, it took the themes and deepened them with new characters instead of trying to rehash the actual, like, they did this and then they did this. It was like, what are the emotional themes? What is the audience connecting with in terms of the story being told, and how can we deepen like the characters, you know, throughout? And I feel like the family dynamic, the dynamic of sisterhood, of mother-daughter relationships, I feel like everything was explored. So what I loved seeing the adult version of Jamie Lee Curtis's and Lindsay Lohan's relationship. I love that they decided, hey, we're not going to undo all of the work that was done in the first movie. No, Lindsay Lohan has a successful career in the music industry. She has a great adult relationship with her mom, even though it might be a lot sometimes, it's still healthy with boundaries that are present. They are not the main conflict of this movie. They are a B story to what's actually going on in a way that I think pays homage to the original audience while strengthening a new story. So there's just, again, I can't say enough good things.
Absolutely. You brought it up, so I want to talk about the cast a little bit. And I'm going to start off by talking about Lindsay Lohan, because that's kind of like
course.
what I keep
We're in the
back to.
Lohan-naissance.
We are in a Lohan-naissance, but I want to take a moment for this for a very specific reason. This movie made me feel my age for the very first time in a movie theater, but like in a good way. And what I mean by in an appropriate way, I was watching this movie and I was looking at Lindsay Lohan and I was like, I am so proud of her. I am so amazed at her journey and what she's gone through. And now she's on my screen again and she looks great and she's acting well and she's conveying a story. And I was like, Lindsay Lohan is playing the mother of a teenage daughter. And it makes sense. Like, this isn't like Hollywood casting where I'm like, you could never be. It's like, no, like Lindsay Lohan is old enough to have a teenage daughter. And to know her journey and to know all the, like, it has so many like little homages to her pop star life, i.e. There's a scene with paparazzi and then tabloids. And you're like, oh, she's at a place now where she can make fun of these things. Where she can look at these things and be like, yeah, no, I actually did that. There were so many moments, like the idea that their wedding date date is October 3rd. I honestly, there were so many moments where I was the only, and I kid you not, I was the only one in my theater who was like, huh? Like
Also reacted to October 3rd. And then I found out from an interview from Lindsay Lohan online that it was an accident.
that is insanity.
It wasn't intentional.
And
And they
then
were just like, afterwards, they were like, let's just roll with it. And I was like, I clocked it immediately.
also the Elaine Hendricks
My
guest
gosh.
appearance.
Yeah.
Again, no one in my theater reacted. And I was like, I need more people to go see this movie.
As
Because
soon as she popped on, I was just like, holy shit, is this also a Parent Trap reunion?
yes, but it is also a Parent Trap reunion. And that's, but without making it a Parent Trap reunion.
It's like a sequel to both in a lot of ways.
Yes. And
To
that's,
Freaky Friday and Parent Trap.
yes, and then on top of which, there's like a little Parent Trap element to the story, and you're like,
Yeah.
we're doing this. And again, it's just like it's a love letter to Lindsay Lohan's career, and to see her act alongside Jamie Lee Curtis and actually be really good and actually be really funny, and like all of these, I spent a lot of time asking myself, how did they get into each other's characters? Because I
Yeah.
believe these two are teens trapped in bodies. And that is amazing comedic work.
I have so much to say about Jamie Lee Curtis, but I want to pause and give flowers to Lindsay Lohan because I also recognize the triple threat of Lindsay Lohan. I recognize that this is a alumni who been doing this shit for years when she hopped on that screen, and she gave us everything that she had in her arsenal and still was like giving me humor, giving me physical comedy, giving me emotional connection. And she does what she does better than anyone, which is act like a different character while being a character. No one does it better than her. Her and Vanessa Hudgens are the only ones who perfected this.
You're so right. I didn't even think about it, but like that's literally one of her other beats in the Netflix Christmas stories that she does. It's like, oh, I'm this person, but I'm also this person. And she just does it really well. Yeah.
Parent Trap, everything. But like, I loved, to your point, how they showed a modern adult in a movie. You know, one of the things that I really think led to the success of the original Freaky Friday was not only seeing Anna's point of view, but also seeing Tess as this like modern woman of the early 2000s who was successful and had a job and all these things to juggle, and like her daughter being thrown in that situation. Ha ha ha. Millennials, we have kind of cooler jobs now. We have different jobs than our parents did. And I like seeing Anna not give up on her dream, but have her dream evolve in a different way, in a very realistic way, in a way that I thought was very relatable. And I just, to your point, she looked great. And she also just rapport with Jamie Lee Curtis is so top notch. You know, I left, Fantastic Four, to your dismay, saying that I didn't feel like there was a lot of connection between the actors in terms of like their chemistry. Whereas I feel like these two have a chemistry that like Jamie Lee Curtis was like saying, oh, I'm going to do another Freaky Friday. And I was like, okay, Jamie. But now I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You two do magic together. And I know we're going to transition into this. Jamie Lee Curtis can do anything she wants for the rest of her life. She is a national treasure. And I'm not just saying that because she's my namesake's daughter. I am saying that because I think she elevates these movies from being a mere Disney romp to being something with emotional resonance, both in the original and both in this one. I believe she is 16 years old. She is 60 years old. I believe that she has the ability to do physical humor at her age, to make fun of herself, to be silly. That was one of the things I loved about the Naked Gun movie last week, was I saw Pamela Anderson being silly. I was like, yes, let's hire these mature actresses who have this like repertoire to offer us. Jamie Lee Curtis, I just think throughout that entire movie, takes it to a level where it's like, and she's done this her whole career. Jamie Lee Curtis got famous from being in movies that were shitty, that shouldn't have been that good, but they were good because Jamie Lee Curtis was in them, i.e. all of her horror catalog.
Yeah.
She just has a way of taking everything to like a different, more tangible place. She commits. And I just left this theater just feeling like, wow, like I love Lindsay Lohan, but Jamie Lee Curtis is just like, let's give her flowers while she's here.
No, absolutely. And I will say, like, I watched this movie feeling the exact same way about Jamie. I left it and I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis is such a talent. It's such a talent. And like, that feels like weird to say. It's Academy Award winner, Jamie Lee Curtis. But like, in reality, it's like, no, takes something special to be able to, at one point in time in your career, play a teenage girl. And then 20 years later, play a different teenage girl
Yeah.
that is now 40 years your junior and still make it believable.
Who has more experience in revisiting characters and jumping 20 years than Jamie Lee motherfucking Curtis?
I mean, that's a really good point. Like, if anything, her career is also one of like being able to re-inhabit the body of someone
Yes.
younger. And so, like, I get that. But to me, it was really amazing to see, as you said, the physical humor that she was
Yes.
able to bring, the kind of deprecating humor that like it to comment on your body and to comment on the way that you look and all this other stuff. I was like, oh, like that, like not a lot of people are willing to admit that they're getting old or that they look older or all this other stuff. And Jamie Lee Curtis was down. She was down to clown.
Can I say something about that? I feel like in a world where everyone is like, it's becoming so much more normalized in Hollywood today and LA today to have work done. I feel like commenting on the nature of aging naturally or being faced with the decision to age naturally is something that Hollywood's really dealing with. I feel like we saw this with The Substance last year with Demi Moore. And I feel like a lot of the attention given to that movie was because of the same thing that we're kind of talking about here, which was like Jamie Lee Curtis is a person who's like, I don't know if there's many actresses over 60 who are starring in leading roles like this anymore. Like truly, like, I mean, I know that she got props for doing it for Halloween, but I'm like, with Everything Everywhere at Once and now this, I'm like, even Meryl Streep is not still being Meryl Streep anymore. Like, what female actress over this age is still doing what Jamie Lee Curtis is doing? Like, I'm not trying to take down any other performer. I'm just saying, I think we need to like give props to this woman who's still doing it.
Well, like, not only that, but like, I think it's also really interesting and it's important to note that Tess is seen as a sex symbol in this.
Yes. Oh
like,
my, I love that Chad Michael Murray wants to fuck Jamie Lee Curtis this whole time.
Yeah. The fact that Chad Michael Murray is still into Tess to a point where it's like, it's kind of unhealthy, but they make it very clear and they comment on that. And like that, like that's the running thread. And then also they put her in outfits that is like Jamie Lee Curtis still has to offer. By the way,
you know, I want to talk more about the story beats, but can we just talk about the other cast members real fast while we're talking about cast? We kind of mentioned it briefly, but can we just go ahead and comment on Chad Michael Murray doing I think, an amazing cameo, maybe even more than a cameo, I would say, but still like being the Chad Michael Murray that he's famous for being throughout the 2000s. The hair was doing it. I think he still looks phenomenal. Yeah. And I also think that he like stayed in a lane this movie, which was not like old guy trying to be a heartthrob. It was more so just being like, oh, he's off doing his own thing, but he still has a thing for that old lady who like got like, you know, like him admiring the beauty of an older woman, I think made it him humanized in a way where I feel like he could have very easily been a himbo and wasn't in this film.
Not only that, but like the presence of his character, they acknowledge how weird it is for him. Like he's not holding a flame for Anna and he's not just going along with it and like purposely trying. Even he's like, whoa, this doesn't feel right. This don't like, I don't like is your behavior. This invitation feels inappropriate. Like, you know, like this character lives in the world with the rest of us. Yeah. And that is what is important because very often with cameos like this, it feels fan servicey and it feels forced in and you're like, why would he ever be here? Why would he ever show up? Why would he not question getting an invite? Like she's coming on to him and he's like, I like the idea that Anna and him have had a relationship since and she doesn't hate him. She saw him last week and he's like, you came over last week and you said how much you were in love.
But also in terms of what the audience has seen from the previous movie and now, Anna, according to Chad Michael Murray's character, has always been weird. Like, if you go back and watch the original movie, Anna's weird around him the entire time, and then in this movie, weird around him the entire time. Like, he doesn't know that soul swapping is happening in the background of all of this shit.
That's true, but like it's really true, and it's really important to point out. But like, what I'm saying is, he's grounded. This isn't a Cinderella story-esque thing where you're like, you can't tell that this is the girl you were talking to 5 seconds ago. He acknowledges you're being weird. He's acknowledging, hey, Tess, you still kind of look kind of cute. When the girls are acting up, he says something. Like all of these things are really important to his guest spot. Because you're right, it's more than a cameo. I want to go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I also want to talk about Julia Butters and Sophia Hammond.
That's what
who
I was
play
gonna say.
Harper and Lily, the co-stars with Jamie Lee and Lindsay. And I love that this film gives them just the amount of screen time that they have, that they build these characters with individual passions and their own traumas and their own things. I feel like they had a great chemistry throughout the movie. I loved how each of them develops their own relationships with their parents and step-parents, or soon-to-be step-parents, how that's like, shown throughout the film. The, immigration interview, the surfing scene of just like, hey, we've been trying to, impress, Harper with our surfing lessons, like all of that stuff. Like there were so many times where I was like, wow, they're really building a family dynamic at the core of this movie that gives it so much more depth than I think some of the like more recent Disney sequels have got.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, let's just talk. I'm going to take them one at a time because we gave Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan credit. I will talk about Julia Butters Harper. And Harper is Anna's daughter. And it's really interesting for us to see what Anna's daughter is. And like, again, like it's interesting that they give us like foils where we can already tell that Anna is successful and she's polished and she's gotten her act together and she's going to therapy and she's a very modern millennial mom. But then she has this Gen Z daughter who isn't girly at all. It's not like it's her own version of a rebel. And it's really interesting to have that. And then you have the hyper feminine Lily who comes in, who plays Manny Jacinto, which we will come back to.
Of course.
But plays that. And again, you automatically understand the tension. You understand why these girls aren't getting along. You understand why Harper and Anna aren't getting along. You understand why Harper feels more comfortable with Tess. And she plays that really, really well. And I think we need to give her credit because she embodies an older version of Anna. And like, I'm like, is this Lindsay Lohan? No. But is this an older woman who is now in her child's body? Yes. And I kind of respect that even more.
And, to your point, there was never a point after the swap happened that I was confused, that I forgot who was who. They did such a good job of framing it. And, to your point about Julia and Sophia playing these, Tess and Anna, essentially, I never doubted it. I thought they did such a great job. And they also, we were talking about the parent trap element earlier, two sisters, one British, not getting along and finding a sisterhood throughout. Like Lily doesn't say, I have class and you don't, but she might as well have said it. Like, that's what I mean in terms of like the sequelness of like kind of touching on the Lindsay Lohan legacy and give us something that the audience has wanted in a way we didn't know that we wanted it, and in a way that works in a surprising way.
And then you have Sophia Hammonds, who plays Lily. And what she brings to it, I think, is really amazing because she's playing Jamie Lee Curtis's character. She's playing a grandmother.
Yes.
And she has to play both a Brit who has come here and a teenage child who like is basically a little brat essentially and doesn't want to be here. And you have to believe that. But you also have to believe that she's now old. She's an older woman who got to experience being young for the first time. And I believe when she was like, I'm just bending a little bit because my knees, like, it's a very funny line to see, but it's like, no, I believe every little experience that she's having, and she's just like being an older woman now in a younger body, and she's enjoying it. I believe. And I think it's not only is it great writing, but you have to have someone where they can understand the physical part of this. And I just thought that she did a really, really good job.
So good. And I also felt like, because of the superior job that all four of the leading actresses do at playing each other, when the swap is reversed at the end, I feel like all of those emotional connections are still earned.
Yes.
Relationship between Harper and Lily, although it was technically developed by Jamie and Lindsay, I feel like is able to mature in a way that feels so natural that I'm on board with it all. I also thought it was very interesting because, both in the original, which was mother-daughter, and in this one, which was a lot of mother-daughter going on, Lily and Tess swap in a in a way that's not really familiar. Like, Tess has a very close relationship with Harper, does not have as close of a relationship with Lily. And at the end of the movie, they're hugging in a way where it's like, wow, like, I think she was able to find a granddaughter through this experience too. And so it's just all the boxes are just checked.
Well, like, that's like the real thing that was interesting to me about this movie is like the idea of Anna and Tess coming back together and being like, we've done this before. We know what we have to do. Mom, I see you and I see you and like all this other, and it's like, it's not working. And that being a plot point where like, oh, they're going to try what they've done before. Makes sense, but also not does it just make sense that we need these two to see each other. You really do have to do the work to develop each and every relationship. And I would say that the Lily character is the hardest to develop because she is the newcomer. Like,
yes,
you automatically understand that Harper's going to realize that her mother loves her. You automatically know that her grandmother is going to take up for their child. You automatically understand that a mom is going to understand and be able to relate to her mother and also relate to her daughter. Like, especially since they've body swapped, which you've all done. The real outlier in this entire thing is Lily's character. Lily doesn't have a pre-established relationship with any of those three women. And you have to make us convincingly understand that she now relates to all three of those women. And they pull it off.
So much so that was one of the moments where I cried in this damn movie was when Lily was talking about how she wants to become a Coleman, how she wants to join the family. It felt earned. It felt like they explored all of her issues with it. They addressed it. They showed how her life in LA could be something that would be worthwhile for her to pursue and to like leave her mother goodbye, which, you know, a big part of these like step kid movies is the relationship with their original parent. And I felt like this movie does a better job at that. And so there was just so much happening here where I just felt like everyone did a great job. And, you know, you mentioned Manny.
Before you go there, I just want to still talk about the Lily character and what I thought like really worked with her storylines and her story beats. One is, as you said, we learn that she has given up going to a school that she wants to. So that kind of gives us like a little entry of like, oh, I have friends, I have family. But then you also learn that her mother has passed away. And again, it's a very easy thing to do, be like, oh, I'm not replacing your mother. We've grown up with a lot of stepmom, so it's very easy. But what this movie does is there's a scene between Harper and Lily where they're like, you know, you can talk about it if you want. And she goes, no, I don't want to, because I feel like if I talk about her, this is the last little bits of her that I have. And I'm like, oh, now I understand this in a completely different way.
Yes.
It's not that you're fearful that someone is replacing your mom. It's like, no, I'm losing the bits of my mother that I have. And so much so that I don't even want to share. But also, thank you for asking. We've just created a moment. We've just connected. This idea of when Lily in Tessa's body witnesses father be upset and yelling at her body. She's like, oh, I've never seen my dad yell like this. I understand that I've overstepped. So you now understand that she's relating to her father in a way that wasn't done before. And then you get a moment between Tess and her where you're like, oh, wow, even though he is talking to essentially his mother-in-law, she's present enough to still receive the words. And you can believe that. Why? Because she spent all day having to pretend to be more mature than she is.
Yeah.
So the idea that she would have a moment to actually be childish and do reckless things and actually see everyone else get what they want, because that's another really important element, where at one point in time, Harper's getting everything that she wants and Lily isn't. And you're like, oh, how are we going to resolve this? Because in reality, Lily's not getting anything that she wants out of this. So you have to earn it in the last few minutes of this movie. And it does so. And I just thought that was, again, I wanted to give a moment to that.
Well, just and one last thing about that is that, in the same way that Harper has a passion for surfing, Lily has a passion for fashion. And the way that she's able to explore that passion is by essentially going to her new mom's job and like having the opportunity to play in a sandbox that she didn't know was available to her. So it's not just that they had a fun fashion montage, which by the way, I think this movie does an amazing job with montages.
Yeah.
It's a fashion montage that actually relates to the character. It shows her appreciating the work of her new stepmom. Like, it just does a lot to not just throw us into a trope, but to actually make it meaningful for the characters.
And to your point, you just made me realize, like, there's also two elements where we see both step parents making efforts to get to know the stepchildren. The idea that it was Anna's idea to use one of Lily's designs for her star to be out on stage is amazing. Like, that's like she thought of you in that way. It's a small thing, but it means a lot to this child. And then also the idea of Manny Jacinto's character's named Eric. Eric taking surfing lessons so he can have something in common with Harper. Again, that's an amazing thing to see. It's like, oh, wow, you were making an effort. Nobody. Like, that's another thing. I think with movies about step parents and stuff like this, we very often see it as two people who just kind of fell in love. And it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel earned. But this, you understand, Eric loves Anna. Like, he knows Anna. Like, the whole, as you were talking about, the whole immigration scene is amazing because you walk away like Harper does, like, unable to deny, oh, this man knows this woman.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing feat to make the audience also be rooting for the couple in a more than just, we don't want Anna's wedding day to be ruined.
And in the same way that, like, in The Parent Trap, how the whole idea is, like, we have to break them up. We have to break them up. This movie, the girls are like, we have to break them up. And both of them separately realize, like, wow, there's actually something really important here. And we are being very young, selfish, and naive and trying to destroy something that means so much to people we care about. Like, the movie does such a great job of showing us this, not just telling it. I'm telling you, this movie's fucking great.
It's great. Like, and going, like, giving everyone their credit. This is when Julia has to play Anna in Harper's body, accepting that the wedding is off. That is a hard thing. I can't think of a scene that's equal to that in the first Freaky Friday. This
Such an interesting challenge for an actor to have to display all of those things at once.
And realize, like, and then also say when Harper's like, Mom, I didn't want this. She goes, but I think you did. And again, it's like, oh no, like, that is a gut punch. I believe that. And I just thought that was like amazing. And again, it's like on par to the scene where Jamie Lee Curtis has to be like, I have never seen my dad this upset. And you understand, again, someone in an older body playing a child, really understanding those emotions. There's just so much good.
I want to throw out a few more shout outs to the cast. So in the original Freaky Friday, I was like, the Asian representation in this movie is a little difficult. There are some, like,
yes, we were early 2000s
elements that didn't age very well. And the solution for this movie was to say, hey, let's get rid of all of that and let's bring in Vanessa Bryant to literally be the comedic relief we didn't know we needed for this film. She was a standout. My theater was crying laughing at her scenes.
Well, to me, I think it's one of those things where it's like they needed both an obstacle and a magic key, and we get both. And like this idea of like her being an actual psychic, but not a good one, but one that like didn't know that she was good, but then also one is just kind of like, I don't know, like the idea. I did not think that the card thing would come into play, but the idea that she gave them several different cards. And then that being like, oh no, that's what we're going to spend half the day doing, trying to track her down because we don't know which one of these businesses is actually hers. And then finding her at a Starbucks and then her being like, oh, you know, she said that she works here and we met her and she's doing readings. No, actually, she's on the clock. Like, all of that is like really, really fun.
And in addition to bringing her in to take over the mysticism for like aspect of this, they still kept the Changs, the family Changs in there as family friends, which I thought was really nice to show that they weren't just like shoved into the original plot as, you know, the required Asian characters, that they were actually, you know, brought into this movie not to rehash those stereotypes, but to just deepen their relationship to these characters, being like, no, this is a family business that we have a relationship with. I just love that.
Not only that, but like the comedy of being like, you think I waste my time trying to get you to figure out your family dynamic? I'm running a business. Yeah. And I was like, again, I like that. That's a really great nod to, as you said, deepen the relationship that was established, take it out of a stereotype, but then also give the character motivation.
Yeah. Someone else I just want to throw out is the pop star Ella, who is portrayed by, I can never say her name right, Matitre I can't say her name. I'm not even going to try. She's great. Loved her. Thought she had some great comedic beats. I loved how her character was able to work with the Lindsay Lohan, whatever version of the girl she had a relationship with, how she brought them out her shell. And I just thought that was a great plot device to getting us the reunion with Pink Slip, which my theater went nuts for.
Yeah, 100%. I disagree with her performance. I felt like her performance to me is the weakest part of the entire movie. And I say that because when I did not believe she was a pop star for half of a second. I didn't believe that she was going through a breakup. I didn't believe like her role in the photo shoot. Like, I didn't believe anything that she brought to the table. If I had one critique, it would actually be her role. And I think, again, when we see what the child actors in this movie can do, it's not even close. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate her representation. Good for her getting a check. It was the least believable part to me. I believed Elaine's character, who actually was an assistant, more than I believed anything else. I believed that Pink Slip would come back for this little reunion and like there's some kind of history there. Like, these like little cameos to me felt more lived in than her character as a pop star. I even believed her ex Justin Bieber, we don't even really see him, but like the song being everywhere and like the kind of cliche moments that they write have happened.
That's what I think that's maybe what I was on board for, was more like the way that her character played a role in the story. To your point, maybe the acting isn't as strong, but I don't know if that's because she did a bad performance or if it's just because everyone else did such a fantastic performance that it was just completely outshined. And to give flowers where flowers are due, Christina Vidal, like coming back, giving a full performance. Like, these girls weren't just brought back for cameos. They actually let them perform. Lindsay Lohan played the guitar. Like, it really felt like a reunion that wasn't just for the sake of anything. It actually felt like it made sense with, this girl's relationship with Lindsay Lohan and the band and, the influence that they've had. I loved the idea that even though Lindsay Lohan gave up her dream, she didn't hinder the dreams of her bandmates who continue the tour. Like, there's just a lot of great things happening.
Oh, and then like, even if we want to talk about that, like the idea of, again, them, I knew from the moment they were playing the song where they're like, oh, you wrote this song about Jake. She was like, I didn't write that song about Jake. It's like, yeah, no, like that's very obvious, but like also it was a good way to get us back on stage. And like this kind of like misdirect, if you aren't an adult, you can absolutely follow that misdirect. Like, I think we know more about stories, so we're like, that's very obviously she didn't write that song about some teenage crush. But like, it makes sense that these kids would believe so. And I also feel like I talk very often about like meeting a movie where it's at. And the thing that I love about this movie is, as much as I love this movie, I can see this movie being something that a younger person enjoys with having no connection to Lindsay Lohan or the Lohan-a-thon.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I've talked to many people who say they prefer this movie over the first one.
I agree, honestly. It has so much heart. It has so much really good family. It has really good, as you said, good montages, good jokes. Like X Mayo plays the principal. And I think to me, the really breakout scene is...
Food fight so fun.
Well, this food fight is fun, but for me, the breakout scene with X Mayo was actually when Eric and Anna are meeting for the first time, and they're kind of like, "Oh, I'm single too," and she goes, "I'm single too." Like the idea, like that, it's three of them who are like in on this first meet cute is really funny, and I thought that was like well done. And her in the background, it just has like a lot of really good comedy. Also, something that I thought was interesting, which we don't see a lot of, and I think you and I would have called this out, is there's a scene where Harper and Lily, their bodies, which is really Anna and Tess, and younger bodies, are going out and they are kind of like exploring the town. There are two things that I think are really important. One, we see them look over and see two motorcycles and goes, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And then they hop on scooters. And I was like, First of all, that's hilarious. Because yes, only a child would try to get on a motorcycle. Adults are like, "I'm going on that scooter." And even that's a risk. I'm putting on a helmet.
You gotta have the helmet, 100%.
So I thought that was really funny. And then also, just in terms of plot, the idea of Eric finding them because he has a tracker on his daughter's phone and being like, yes, because you're always like, where are the parents? What's going on? And so the idea that these two girls cut school and they're not where they're supposed to be, and that is what ends their pursuit of finding the solution, just makes sense. And then you get the fact that like they come in, they're upset because they've got brought home earlier. And then you get your child-parent dynamic of, what are you doing? Why are you not here earlier? It's like, we don't have to. We're adults. We're going to go out and spend the rest of the night where we want to be. Why? Because we understand that you're limited in your child body. And I just thought it was really
I'm so
good.
glad you said that because, even though we're talking about how this movie is a love letter to the original and, kind of exceeds as a sequel, this is a body swapping movie at the end of the day. And this movie does not allow us to forget the fun that comes from that plot. And I feel like they could have very easily just switched and immediately went to problem solving. But like they were like, no, this is a fun, silly thing. What would happen with Jamie Lee Curtis having a full makeover? Like, I want to see it. Let's do it. Like, I just love that they actually had fun with this concept.
They had fun with it, but also they have fun with it in a way that like it's not just adults and children's bodies trying to get back to their adult bodies. The moment when they go, look, I know we're on a deadline, but I haven't had a cheeseburger in forever. It's like, you believe, again, that is an adult reaction.
The food montage, I was like, this is earned. This doesn't feel just thrown in for no reason.
It doesn't feel thrown in for no reason. You understand that it's like, are we on a time crunch? Yes, I get that. However, will I ever be able to do this again?
When can I eat French fries again? Like, I mean, it's the important questions, really.
And again, I just think, and then also I want to give credit to a scene when they're in the record shop, and Jamie Lee Curtis is talking Lindsay Lohan through like moving your body and like flip your hair, like all this other stuff, and the physical comedy of like bite your lip, something as simple as bite your lip, and she bites the upper lip.
So funny.
To me, I was like,
lip.
That is genius. Like, again, it's so simple, but she says bite your lip. And instead of just biting the lip in like a very weird way. She bites the wrong lip. And it's like, no, that, again, I believe that this is a teenage girl who has never had a boyfriend or relationship.
You know, I just want to give this movie props because this movie has a female writing group, a female director, and it just feels like, you know, Disney really swings hard and misses so often that I really just want to give them props. There's diversity. There's women behind the scenes. There is a sequel that doesn't just feel like a money grab. Like, this is everything we've been begging Disney to do for the longest time. And this is everything I've wanted from, like, you know, Hocus Pocus 2 that I didn't feel like I got from this. Everything that's going on with Lindsay Lohan right now, I feel like this is the dream I had for so many child actors. Like, like if Macaulay Culkin was having the moment that Lindsay Lohan was having, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it feels similar. It feels the same in terms of just like these people I grew up with who contributed so much to me at a young age. And I know that life's been hard for them. And I'm so happy to see a turn happening where not only are they able to act for a living, but they're also able to just shine in the way that we all know that they're capable of doing.
100%. Also, what was I going to say? It is really great. I wanted to give really quickly, because he has a role in this. I believe it's Mark Harmon, who this is his first non-NCIS role, 18 years. That's how long it's been since he's done that. And I just thought that was because he's also older. And they don't forget his character. They could have very easily made him, you know, his character die, or they could have made his character, you know, be out of town or whatever. But like,
or they could have undone the work that was done in the original to show that he is as in love with Tess as Eric is with Anna. So like, to show the fact that they are still going to like pickleball or whatever, like which by the way was a fantastic sequence.
Yeah.
Like, they still have their own relationship, even though that they're the older ones. Like, Tess, her issue isn't with her man.
No, and he's concerned about her. And like that scene where she realizes, oh, wait a minute, you are concerned about me. Mm-hmm. You want me to have something, and you're worried about what happens if Anna and Harper move away. Like, that's a great thing to show a supportive husband. And this movie is great at showing men be supportive and not the obstacle.
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of movies this summer, and the last few, whether it be Superman, Fantastic Four, Naked Gun, and this, I'm like, there are some positive masculinity roles happening in Hollywood right now that I'm really genuinely loving. And I don't feel like there were, between Chad Michael Murray and Manny Jacinto and Mark Hamill, I was like, all of these dudes are like, I think, pretty unproblematic in the best ways.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it back up. Manny Jacinto as Eric. First of all,
let's talk about it.
This man
let's do it.
He has always been gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know him from The Good Place. He's also on, what is the Disney show? Oh my God, I can't think of it right now. Anyway, I'll look at it. But like, he also played a villain in one of the Star Wars spinoff shows.
I know him from a rom-com called I Want You Back.
Okay.
And he was also in the Kotle. Is that the
that's the
Star
one that
Wars
I was
one?
talking about. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about.
He was also in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, Acolyte is what it is.
Acolyte.
Yeah. Anyway, he is always someone where it's like, if you know his work in Acolyte specifically, everyone is like, why is this man not in a rom-com of some sorts?
A leading man.
Very good looking man.
Yeah.
He has a very good looking body. His work in here in terms of chemistry, phenomenal. When we do the Time of Our Life dance and he's dancing during the rehearsals, you're like, oh, yes, girl, whatever he wants. Like, you are the woman at the immigration interview. You are her in everything he does. And then he plays a chef, and he plays a good chef. And you see him lose his temper, and you're like, oh, he's actually a really good father. He's an authoritarian. Everything he brings to this role, he goes through literally all of the emotions while you believing that he both sees this person and notices something is off. And then he says, it's not that I don't love Anna. It's that I love Lily more.
Yeah.
And that being something where you're like, again, It is not that he is resisting this. He's like, I have to do right by my daughter. That makes him so much more of a great male role model.
I need to see this dude everywhere after this. I need to see him everywhere after this. I need to see more of the Lohan. I need to see more of Jamie Lee Curtis. The girls, Harper Lily, I need to see more of them. Vanessa Bayer, where's your sitcom? Like, sign me up. Like, there are so many people who just like took the small roles they had, some of them smaller than others, and just like really shined. I was so surprised leaving this theater that I had the experience and the reaction that I had. And again, like, this may be the best Disney movie I've seen in theaters and I can remember.
I'm not going to lie. The one thing I also wanted to highlight is how big of a deal it is for Manny Jacinto to be considered a heartthrob, for him to be the love interest. For those of you who haven't seen him, he is an Asian man. And to have an Asian man be the love interest, the heartthrob, the one that is very clearly sexual and desired, and so much so that like people walking by are just like enamored with him, that is not common. Like, this is something we're just now getting, and we deserve to have more
he's
of
the first batch, because they're doing the same thing they did with black guys, where it's like, in order for them to be sexy, they have to have a British accent. It makes them more sophisticated. It's easier for the palate.
If it ain't wrong, you know how I feel about a man with an accent. I'm just saying.
It's true.
But anyway, I wanted to acknowledge, and as you pointed out, this movie just does so much right. It checks so many really great boxes. It is a new story for modern teenagers that also is serving the adult fans who wanted to go see this movie.
All ages, all demographics can get something out of this movie, which is why I was like, in a barren landscape. I can't, like, very rarely this year has a movie come out where I was like, anyone can go see this and have a great time. And
I completely agree. And this is absolutely one of them. It's good writing. It's good acting. It's funny.
Great music, by the way.
Music.
Like, this was one of the first times, like, again, in a while, where I left a movie being like, let me look up the soundtrack. Like, Sinners did it. Superman did it. Like, a good movie has a good soundtrack, always.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I want to call out that this movie came out the same weekend as Weapons. And I actually saw this movie after Weapons. I did a double feature. I watched Weapons. And then
Which is rare, because I wouldn't expect you to watch Weapons.
I know. We'll have a different conversation. But like, I watched Weapons first, and then as a palate cleanser, I watched Freakier Friday. June Diane Raphael is in both of
them, right?
Yeah. So I just thought that was something worth calling out. But yeah.
So it's a June Diane double feature kind of situation.
Absolutely.
All right.
And she plays a really good comedic role in both films. I just wanted to do that. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
You know what? No, I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say. I feel like people have been clamoring for a certain kind of remake, a certain kind of Disney movie, a certain kind of family movie, a certain kind of comedy. And I feel like this movie really does check all those boxes. We left the theater wanting to see it again. And again, like, in the same way that Sister Act 2 strengthens the relationships of Sister Act 1, I feel like this does the same thing in terms of just being like a sequel that deserves to sit on the shelf next to the original.
And I actually really like that you put it in the Sister Act 2 category, because I agree.
It's the highest compliment you can give a sequel.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's any higher compliment. And I think it's even more impressive that it actually does live up to the hype. If you enjoyed the first one, you will enjoy this one. And if you've never seen the first one, you will enjoy this one. I think that's kind of really great.
Yeah.
Also, really quickly, I just was like reading the IMDb fun facts. They did offer Jodie Foster, who was the original, I think 1976 Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
They offered her an appearance, but she couldn't make it. But like, that also would have been like a really cute, fun thing to do, little Easter egg. And another thing that's interesting to me is like, I also believe that they would have done it in a way that wouldn't have felt gratuitous. It would have felt like, oh, that's a nice little wink and a nod.
Yeah, it wouldn't have felt forced. I'm sure a lot of people would have been like, oh, wow, Jodie Foster made a cameo for some reason. Like, a lot of people wouldn't have connected those dots. So, but yeah, honestly, have had a great time at the movies this summer. And this really was just like a great little like end of summer celebration of my AMC pass. Like, I'm having a great time. And this movie was like a wonderful theatrical experience.
Yes. So again, if you were on the fence about seeing Freakier Friday, go see it. We think that you'll enjoy it. Let us know what you think. We appreciate you guys so much for listening. If you are following us, you know that we do our Pod Meets World reacts. You can check us out on our Patreon. We also will be joining the cast for season 6 recap. So make sure that you check that out. And as always, we appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah. Later, bros.
Later, bros.